Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. So as you can see, we have picked up Tally. I did not expect her to be a playable character. I really thought that my party was basically complete at this point, so that was a pleasant surprise. She also comes with some very interesting bonus skills that I will probably wind up using on this character. I also am now using the Paladin. It is essentially a souped-up Carnifex. I purchased it for about 225,000 credits. It's extremely expensive. It's one of the Spectre requisition weapons, and I am now just trying it out for the first time in this video. I'm also using the Viper sniper rifle, and just equipping Tally real quick. I have to say, though the Paladin packs quite the punch, it really is... it's a reserve weapon. You use it for certain situations. It just doesn't have enough ammo to be used all the time as a primary, unless perhaps you well, I already modded it for increased ammo, though I believe it's more ammo in the clip, not in reserve, and I don't have an issue with the number of shots in the clip. Mine is more an issue with the number of shots in reserve. I also, as you see, am using Defense Matrix, one of the bonus skills of the game. It essentially is tech armor, only you can purge it to give you a shield boost real quick. So if you have depleted shields, you can purge it, and you'll get a boost in shields. I believe I used that functionality all of one time throughout the video, primarily because I forget to, and I also just don't want to use the global cooldown to do so. I am so used to having my shields regenerate that it's second nature for me at this time, so really didn't think about it. Also, this was a tough decision. 25% more headshot damage or more ammo. Well, 30% more ammo. Ammo increases are actually pretty rare all the way around. The only other one I have seen is a 5% global research bonus and 10% from a piece of armor. So 30% is pretty significant, so I wind up going with that. I do run out of ammo from time to time, and I really didn't think 25% damage is nice. Of course, 25% headshot damage is nice, but I already use a bunch of armor pieces to increase my damage, and I don't want to start going into the realm of overkill either. But yes, this is Defense Drone. I had never seen it before. I had never even heard of it before this time. I did not know it existed, so I'm specking into that right away because, hell, if it's better than Combat Drone, I'll just use that to replace Combat Drone. She also has Energy Drain, which is essentially an overload that also recharges your shields, among other things. So very excited to see her. She also has Sabotage, though I did not spec into it. I probably should have, in retrospect, as it's incredibly powerful when facing the Geth. We are going to be facing the Geth this time around, so finally a new enemy group. Very happy to finally be facing them. Certainly a nice change of pace, but I will be using Sabotage pretty much on cooldown throughout this video. It is definitely my most used power, barring, say, things like Overload to drop shields. But yes, it would have been very useful if she had it as well, because Combat Drone is nice for her, Defense Drone is nice, but against the Geth, nothing beats Sabotage. I am not complaining about Sabotage anymore, because against the Geth, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I just thought I would show this off. I can't jump, so what is my very I found it kind of funny that I had an instinct to do this immediately. Just, there's a pit, I can't jump over it, alright, I'll see if I can walk on the ceiling. That was just the very first thing that came to mind. Let's try to walk on the ceiling, and of course that is the point. It is a cylinder, you are in space, so what else would you do? So I just wanted to show off this view real quick. We are in a battlefield. And yes, our first encounter with the Geth. Again, I'm using the Viper and the Paladin. Also, for the very first time, I find the need to actually quite frequently go into the HUD menu. I am ashamed that I did this. It almost became a habit. In fact, it kind of did become a habit because I now just have so many freaking abilities. I have totally given up on attempting to have them all bound. There just aren't enough slots. You're limited to 8 in the game. I normally have over 40 key bindings in the games I played, sometimes approaching 60, so 8 is a bit restrictive for me. I'm of course speaking of things like MMOs when I talk about other games. But anyway, yes, as you can see, Sabotage, very useful. The Geth have their standard rank and file, just their basic troopers, which just shoot you with plasma rifles or whatever they're equipped with. And then, of course, they have rocket troopers, a throwback to the very first game, I think. I don't remember if there were rocket troopers in the second game or not. But generally a good idea to sabotage the rocket troopers. They are the more difficult target. And yes, using the Paladin. And it does do good damage, but as you can see, 16 shots in reserve. And that's with 30% bonus ammo, and I modded it for extra ammo. Though again, I think that's actually just increasing the number of shots in the clip, not in reserve. Not totally sure. Don't usually use that mod, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But yes, unfortunately, I have incendiary ammo, not very effective against the Geth. Would have been much better off with disruptor ammo. And here we have a guy all by his lonesome, so let's take him out. Of course, there's a thing in my way. Actually, I sabotaged him, that's right. And I definitely was not liking the Viper so much. It used to be my favorite sniper rifle, or close to it, but it really does not pack much of a punch anymore, unfortunately. These enemies take at least 3 shots, generally speaking, to kill, and headshots are pretty tough for the Geth. I do get them every now and then, but their heads are weirdly positioned, and just kind of hard to see. This was also my first time facing them in a very long time. And I wasn't even sure if headshots worked. I believe they do. They do seem to make a difference. Yes, I'm using energy drain to drop shields from Tally, and again, I apologize. How dare I use the HUD? How dare I slow things down and pause? Horrible. But I just have too many abilities now, and it needs to be done. If I was playing a soldier, it wouldn't be a problem, but I am an engineer. I have a ton of abilities just from my base class. And now I have a bonus skill to deal with. Yes, let's talk about Defense Matrix. Okay, if you've watched... actually, first let's talk about this. So yes, the Geth Plasma Rifle. I will not be using this. I was also given an arc pistol earlier on, and I am, of course, brilliant. I'm a brilliant man. They essentially throw weapons at me, and I think, nope, just got the Paladin. I want to use the Viper. Haven't used sniper rifles in a while. Who cares? Not gonna matter. But this is probably yet another example of me gimping myself with my loadout. I generally tend to do that in most missions because I use whatever the hell I feel like using at any given time and never really think about, well, this goes well with this, and this is optimized, and so, yes, we are now facing Geth Hunters. Geth Hunters, as you might recall, go invisible, they cloak, and they close on you. And I'm about to get shot in the butt. Owie. Owie. And I'm gone. It's one of my only deaths of the mission. But a death nonetheless. So yes, now I'm prepared for that. Now I'm prepared to look at them. They are a lot smaller than they used to be, and thus they are harder to see from a distance. This is also a very small room, and I do not have a lot of time to deal with them before they close. They also move much faster, and they aren't idiots, and they don't shoot you from stealth when they approach, unlike the other Geth Hunters. So they're much harder to keep track of. But yes, that time I knew he was coming, and I beat the crap out of him with the Paladin. Quite the nuisance, though. Hard to deal with. But yes, let's go back to Defense Matrix before I forget to talk about it. If you've watched a lot of my videos, and I've produced a lot of videos by now, I don't really like survivability for the sake of survivability. I don't really like things like tech armor. I prefer things like crowd control, like stasis or singularity or combat drone, stuff like that. It gives you survivability, but it's far more flexible and it's far more dynamic. It isn't as one-dimensional as things like armors. So I don't really like them, and I'm probably not going to use this ever again. For one thing, it lowers your global cooldown rate dramatically, and you need to be spec'd pretty deep into it to start to ameliorate that effect, to reduce it. So there's that, and that's a problem because I tend to use heavier weapons anyway. And not all weapons have mods that reduce their weight. In fact, all I've seen thus far are SMGs. That's a problem. Also, I just don't really think I need it. I mean, I die from time to time, but, you know, when you go through Insanity, you don't have that. So especially for me, since I had no bonus skills. Maybe if I was using it from the very beginning of the game, I would get used to it and rely on it. But even then, it's just a crutch. You can go through the game without any shield skills whatsoever. You don't need them. It's just something to increase your margin of error. So here, I realize that I am in a very bad situation. I have 2 hunters and a dead party member, and I think that there's really nowhere to go. So I drop down here and desperately try to survive. So let's watch this sequence real quick. I'm trying to get out of here, but again, and this guy I know is going to start coming after me, but a couple headshots, he's gone. But I know there's another one out there, and there he is. So definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I just get the hell out of there. I flank this guy. I think I use Tally probably to drop his shields. Yes, I do. And I just start shooting wildly at him, generally aiming for the head from the hip. Kind of hard to use a scoped weapon at that range, so just trying to shoot his head from the hip as best I could. Fortunately, I do take him out. Right there definitely would have been a great situation for a shotgun, though the Paladin, you know, the Carnifex is a good short-range weapon. It is very high-powered, and I think it does stagger at least a little bit. Not totally sure on that. This stagger is probably from energy overload. But yes, this guy sabotaged. I just want him to die. I need less bodies on the field to deal with. And somehow sabotage just killed him. And there's a trip mine. Yeah. going throughout this level, I'm just randomly hit by explosions, and it wasn't until that point that I realized, oh, there are mines. Okay. Because it pretty much gave me a heart attack every single time. To go back to the actual gameplay, this was an interesting sequence, and I kind of just want to try suiciding it first. Generally, when I run way ahead of everybody and try to flank them from behind, I think I'm probably going to die. But who knows, might work. And there's a console I'm trying to reach, and I was hoping maybe if I turn that off, it'll just end everything and I won't have to deal with any of these guys. And I almost pull it off. I almost do, but I almost get behind cover, but not quite. Ah well, so now I'm going to take it slow and just, it's actually not a very hard sequence at all. I was just kind of terrified by the huge blue beams of death, the waves. But you'll see I duck into cover, generally speaking, whenever I think one's coming, and try to avoid it, because if those hit you, they break your shields instantly, which is kind of a problem. So I'm pretty cautious in this. Nice to have a sniper rifle, very nice, wide, not wide, but long, thin bit of causeway. So, again, Defense Matrix, probably not going to use it ever again. Just don't need it. Don't want to have to rely on it. Don't want shield powers to be a crutch. That's really all they are. Increased margin of error. But if you can get to this point in Insanity without a shield power, you clearly don't need a shield power. And at the end of the day, it's just a death. Who cares? I get to ever go into a sequence thinking, oh man, I really wish I had a shield power there. I probably would have survived, then I wouldn't have to go through it again. Who cares? It's part of the game, it's part of Insanity. Sometimes you have to go through sequences again. It's really not a big deal. And I want them to be hard. I don't need a shield power to make them easier. I don't want that. I want more strategies and tactics, not some fire and forget ability. It is nice that they are fire and forget now, though. I will say that. In Mass Effect 2, you had to constantly recast them like every minute or every 2 minutes, depending on your upgrade, and it was really annoying after a while. So I'm glad that they did do that. They also made them far more interesting and useful. Being able to purge them is a cool effect. But I will be trying out, hopefully, a new bonus skill in my next video, though maybe not. I basically just picked this one because it was the only one that really made any sense at all from what I had. I have things like Reeve and armor-piercing ammo and stuff right now, which I don't really need at all, so didn't want to bother. Yet another keybind I'm going to have to get used to using, though. Rather, it's not that it's another keybind I'm going to have to get used to using, it's one less keybind I will be able to use for party member abilities. I will now have one keybind for party member abilities to use all of their abilities. So clearly, I'm going to have to start going into my HUD more often if I really want to make use of them. And I feel kind of lame not using them as much as I can. If nothing else, just to speed things up and maybe just mix it up a little bit, but I hate pausing every, so many seconds too. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But all in all, this was a really cool sequence. You'll be seeing a boss later on, so I would stay tuned for the next video. It'll be coming out shortly. If you haven't noticed by now, I generally release these videos in pairs. Each mission generally being, 2 parts. So, next video should be out soon. I just have to wait, for rendering and uploading and blah 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 blah. Random technical crap. But yeah, the boss fight was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. They have changed things a bit. He's just trying to get line of sight on this guy. And yeah, this guy. Stupid freaking hunter. I knew you were there. I try to stop him before he gets to me, but it seems like party members don't really cast their powers well when people are cloaked or something. I mean, I guess you did finally, but it was really slow to do so. And yeah, hunters move really quickly. And I apparently just can't hit a moving target, and I suck. This guy was quite the problem. I actually used a grenade on him in a moment. Boom. Away. I was actually really afraid that that grenade might have killed me. I really haven't ever used one that close before. But yeah. Frickin' hunters, man. I would have been really mad if I died there. So I'm just being really cautious. I could have edited this out, but I just kind of wanted to show how you do this, I guess. If you're having trouble for whatever reason. I mean, it's not like it's hard or anything, but why not? I think we might have a little more combat, though. Maybe not. So if we don't, we might not. Stop watching if you don't care, I guess. You'll just have to make that gamble. I know it's such a hard decision. Yep, this is it, actually. No more combat. Alright, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the end of this mission. and more Geth, since I'll be doing Geth for a little bit now. They're kind of an objective in the game, in this part of the plot. So yeah, have a good one.